Hello everyone, and I'm back with another entry for one guy's opinion. Before we get started, a quick update. So I won't be doing review videos until next week. Uh, Sometime next week. Because I'm still missing books from the past couple of weeks. I mentioned in my last Charlie's review episode 5 part 1 that the smaller shop that I go to from time to time didn't get all of their books from that week, from like what was it, last week, uh you know and they didn't get the books for this week either. So the guy that shop tells me they're coming in on Tuesday, so I'm hoping to actually make a video on Tuesday and for part 2 and do I guess a first impression type of video. As you know, I usually take a while to do the review videos, so I get more time to think about the issues that I've read. So this one's going to be a very hoping to do a first impression video. If I don't do it on Tuesday, then I'll probably do it on Wednesday, and then throughout the weekend I will do episode 6, which will cover the books from this week. I actually only get like one book uh, from my official pool, but it's been really weird because every other shelf has gotten their books on time. I have no idea why this shop is having a bit of a problem now with their orders not arriving on time. Uh, it's the first time that's ever happened, you know. So really, I don't really know what's going on there, but it's been very frustrating actually. Um, but it wasn't a total waste, like I said. Um, there are a few books that I'm picking up regularly um, that came out last week, and I probably or this past week, which I'm actually going to add them to my official pool at my larger shop because I went to that shop and then I went to the small shop and then they told me, they're coming in on Tuesday. But like I said, it wasn't a total waste. So I picked up Justice League United number 4. Um, you know, this is the selfie variant, and I believe that this is like the only cover they had for this book. I do know that they also have had a few copies of the combo pack, which is the one that's got the digital code, but that's like a 4.99 book. Um, but this is like the only cover they had um, for this book, and of all the selfie covers that I've seen, this is like the best one. The cover is done by Emanuela Lupacino, and it's not it. This is a very typical pose for a selfie, so it's very authentic. It's playful as well. I really like it. A lot. I've seen a few, especially those of you who've shown like the Batman books. Some of those selfie covers are horrendous. This one's really nice. And then there's Ghost. So I picked up Ghost number 7, which I know a few people have dropped as well as this one. Uh, uh, but you didn't pick it up. Try to pick it up because if you go to the letters page, my letter got published. I wrote a letter a while back talking about issue 4, and you really can't see it. I don't know, just uh, but yeah, there it is. Um, there we go. So it's always cool. I really like the letters page. I love them. And when DC revived the letters pages briefly, I wrote quite a few letters to the Superman book. This is like really what 2011, before the New 52 started. DC revived, when they went to 299 and they cut 2 pages off instead of a 22-page story. They started with a 20-page story. They brought briefly the later pages back, and I wrote a lot to the Superman uh, book, so I got a few letters published there. And there's a Peter Parker Spider-Man issue as well. From I don't know exactly when. I don't even remember the issue number. But the cover I believe is done by Humberto Ramos. Humberto Ramos, and it's sort of like think it's like a cover with a crowd scene at a baseball game. I don't remember what issue number it is. I also had a letter. I also had a letter published there, and yeah, so I thought that was very cool. You know, having my letter published there. Um, anyways, moving on. The news that came out this week from DC that got me a bit excited is that Peter Tomasi is taking over. Peter Tomasi and Doug Mankey are taking over as a new creative team of Superman Wonder Woman, and I like Charles Soule on that book, but it was very flawed. Um, I'm sorry to say it, but his take on the Superman Wonder Woman relationship was somewhat flawed. I did briefly talk about it a while back. I think it was in a review video, where reading a review, the reviewer mentioned that some somehow Charles Soule's exploration of the Superman Wonder Woman uh, relationship seemed to point the negative side of it, sort of like instead of the showing the reasons why they should be together, it's showing why they shouldn't be together. And I agree with that. That's why I believe a lot of people have felt that relationship is somehow being forced, and that's probably because the story as being presented, it's really backfiring. Instead of showing the good things of that relationship, it's showing why they shouldn't be together. uh, so I'm hoping that Tomasi does a better job showing why they should be together and make the relationship seem less forced and much more organic than what's been shown. And I think the problem with the way Soul has been handling that book is he's actually doing what works for a Batman Superman book, which is showing Superman and Batman are extremes. you know their methods are completely different. Superman is more light, Batman is a lot more about darkness. So they're really complement each other, and you really can uh, do a narrative comparing each character. Where if you look at you can really do compare each character because they're so on the extreme. They're so different, in most everything, and so that's why the Batman Superman friendship works, and that's why in a sort of narrative way you can actually show those differences. But with Superman and Wonder Woman, you really can't do that because yes, they do have certain differences, but they're not that different. They're not extremes. They're more alike as characters. So you really can't show too many differences with them. I mean, they're not that far apart from each other, character wise. Uh, you know, they're both light. You know, uh, they both come. They both would feel like outsiders because you know, Superman is from from an alien planet, and he is an alien, and even though he grew up on Earth, there is still a point where he does feel that he might be a bit apart of humanity. Wonder Woman comes from an island, you know, that is run by women, so she is an outsider to the rest of the world. So they are more alike than than you know than what Superman and Batman are. So you really can do the comparison thing. Trying to do that with Superman and Wonder Woman, like I said, sort of tends to backfire and really show why they aren't compatible, but they actually are compatible in many ways. But you know, they have a lot in common. You know, I guess there are differences, but the way Soha is handling it, sort of handling it the way you would handle a Superman Batman book, trying to show these extreme differences with them, and that's not working. Just sort of showing you the reasons why they shouldn't be together instead of why they should be. You highlighting the differences does not work here. You have to highlight the coincidence, the things that they are more alike about, because that's what's gonna bring them together, and not really show the like I say, the differences, because then you're just saying, they'll never be together because they're so different, instead of finding the points where they are alike. I feel like I'm repeating myself. So yeah, I'm very excited about that news. The whole Aquaman thing as well. Yeah, they actually say they're hiring two writers to write an Aquaman movie. Uh, the way I read the news was that, as I understand it, is that Warner is actually trying to find the best take on the character. So I guess that's what they're actually doing, or they might be doing, for the whole DC thing. It's like trying to find the best take, sort of check different scripts and see which one's better. I think that's how I got it. That they're actually gonna do that, find the better take on their characters. So that's interesting. As for having already have casting an actor, before there's like any, I don't know if there's any official word as of yet, if Aquaman will be showing up in the Batman v Superman a movie or whatever, or if they're gonna go with an Aquaman solo movie around the same time. You know, having a casting news, uh, an official casting news, and not really telling us more. Sort of keeps you wondering, uh, what the hell is going on, because they're actually still like, working on scripts for an Aquaman movie. So I don't know what that is about, but hopefully, you know, having an Aquaman movie or having Aquaman show up in the upcoming movie, Batman v Superman, that should, you know, should hopefully makes, Aquaman, uh, the perception of public perception of Aquaman to be much better than it is. I mean, he still is for the mainstream a joke. It's a joke. So I wanna end this episode talking about three-issue miniseries that came out 4 years ago. This is a Superman mini, 3 parts, but it's sort of like a 6-part story done in 3 issues. It's labeled as an Elseworld when apparently DC wanted to sort of relaunch the Elseworld line, but it doesn't really feel like an Elseworld in the sense that it's not necessarily a new take on the character, but or a different take of, of the character. This is more like a sort of alternate history of the character. And it's called Superman, uh, The Last Family of Krypton. This is issue 1, issue 2, and issue 3. So, like I said, it doesn't really feel like an Elseworld, and it is sort of more like an alternate history. It plays more like the classic imaginary story from the Silver Age, Bronze Age, where certain things change, uh, but in the end, you know, fate, destiny occurs. Um, so this could be compared to, like, for example, Superman number 300, where Superman lands on Earth in the year 1976, and he becomes Superman in the year 2001 with a whole different take on his backstory, but with certain moments, sort of repeating themselves as being predestined, including, this Kal-El becoming Superman. This story, looks at, instead of, Kal-El coming to Earth alone as a baby, the entire El family shows up. Jor-El, Lara, and baby Kal-El come to Earth after the destruction of Krypton. So it explores, sort of like, the relationship between the El family throughout the years, the impact of having, Jor-El on Earth, how his technology and Kryptonian science impact the world, but things sort of tend to repeat themselves. Um, you know, to where it's familiar but somewhat different. Um, you know, Jor-El and Lara become celebrities, so that forces them to take Kal-El to be raised by a normal human family, which turns out to be the Kents. So you have, you know, Kal-El adopting the name Clark Kent, going to Smallville High, meeting Lana Lang. Then, he comes to Metropolis as reporter Clark Kent. He meets Lois Lane and Perry White and Jimmy Olsen, and he has a relationship with Lois. Uh, while, Jor-El and Lara, Jor-El starts his own company, Jor-Corp. Lara becomes somewhat of a, one of those, like a spiritual guide, because she introduces, Ra religion, that the religion from Krypton. Um, Plus, Superman has like siblings as well, born on Earth, so they have like half the power of a Kryptonian. They're full Kryptonian, but because they were born on Earth, they have like half the power because, for example, Krypton was a much larger planet, so you know, you know, you know, the yellow sun is different. Krypton was a larger planet, so their skin is denser, so their invulnerability is like half of what Kal-El's and Jor-El's and Lara's is. Um, and so it explores that, but it also, like I said, the impact of having the elves on on Earth sort of also impacts the way this alternate DCU uh, turns out. Uh, for example, um, three major characters never come to be, almost. First off, uh, Lara, wants to expand her teachings of Taoism from, books and conferences to actually building a foundation and temples and all that. So she goes and meets, with Thomas Wayne. But the night that, the Waynes were supposed to die, Lara interrupts them, shows up and gets Joe Chill before the event happens. So there really isn't a Batman. The reason for Bruce Wayne to become Batman doesn't happen. Um, Superman's, Kal-El's younger siblings like to sort of play tag when there are thunderstorms. So they came, and this was written by Cary Bates, who was a major disc writer for Superman and the Flash during the late Silver Age, on Superman through the Bronze Age. So it does have some sort of Silver Agey, Bronze Agey type of feel to it because uh, Kal-El's younger siblings were playing tag with a thunderstorm, and the lightning bolt that was supposed to hit the chemicals that would turn Barry Allen into the Flash was interfered by them, so there was never a Flash. Jor-El saved the life of Abin Sur, so Hal Jordan never became Green Lantern, and unfortunately he died in a Hal during a test flight. And Green Arrow, you know, also didn't. Oliver Queen never became Green Arrow because Jor-El had put sort of like drones to watch over the planet, So when Oliver Queen got stranded in the island, uh, he was rescued, almost immediately. So he never spent time in the on the island to, better himself. So he never became Green Arrow. So it explores that. Of course, there is a few villains that show up. Lex Luthor, grew up in Smallville. Boy Genius, and a guy with a huge ego, gets drafted when he was in like high school, you know, by Jor-El to work with him. So he seemed like a good guy until like the very end where he once again, becomes the villain. Uh, then there's like the AI, that Kryptonian AI that came with in the Yell's ship called B, turned out to be Brainiac at the end, was upgraded by Luthor. Uh, you know, so you get the classic sort of Brainiac Luthor team up, but in the end, the Brainiac AI betrays Luthor. Um, that happened like really right in that like the very end. Then there's like this other group of xenophobes, that are against the Kryptonians, um, that in a riot sort of burned one of these row centers that opened up in Gotham City, killing Thomas and Martha Wayne. So I'll get to the consequences of that, because at the very end, though, fate does play, you know, or what is destined happens, and so Bruce Wayne, as a young man, finally, with the death of his parents, decides to sort of. It's not that he becomes the Batman, but you know, he does want to avenge the death of his parents. To sort of make this sort of, thugs afraid. Like I'll try to show a page here. Um, you know, like this is like a very classic moment here. You know, from Bruce Wayne as he sort of takes his vow to sort of let me check it out. To sort of you know avenge his parents' death, and sort of destiny. You can't fool with that, but what's destined to happen will happen at the very end. Same thing happened with Kal-El. Clark Kent. Uh, he does become Superman, like right after he graduates from high school, because he was supposed to go on like a trip to explore the universe, and so he gets the familiar, I don't think it's in here. Let's see where it is. I think it's in issue 2. He sort of gets his you know classic Superman uniform, which actually I think Carpenter even bothered to give it a sort of a meaning to this. The family crest. The blue is supposed to symbolize Earth. The red, the red sun of Krypton, and the yellow, Earth's yellow sun. So to sort of symbolize that he is, a man from two different worlds and two different cultures. Also, another interesting point, and I'll end with this, um, because 30 minutes over. Um, is the relationship between Kal-El and Jor-El, which is not a very friendly one. Um, you know, Jor-El is really disappointed in Kal-El by adopting, to live a preferring to live sort of a life as an Earthman and not as a Kryptonian. So he's always looking down at Kal-El, because of what was decided between, you know, for his decision to live that sort of life. And the Jor-El relationship also seems to be breaking apart, because Jor-El, is now a very obsessed man. He failed to save Krypton, and so he's determined to become Earth's savior. So he's sort of really overprotective of Earth. That's why he's got all sorts of technology, watching over the planet. Uh, you know, um, uh, so he may have this sort of room where he goes and sort of feeds his brain with all this sort of 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 data streams, of everything that's going on. He's literally become, big brother without being tyrannical in the worst sense of the word, but he's sort of a tyrant because he sort of, you know, become the man to shape uh, Earth's destiny. And as we see, a lot of things that were supposed to happen didn't happen, but destiny has a way of letting things happen at the very end. So, Lara actually dies, like at the very end, because of Luthor's um, own jealousy of Jor-El, because Jor-El is a brilliant man, and so is Luthor, but his brilliance was never really truly recognized. So he was pretty much mad at um, at Jor-El. So he actually wanted to kill Jor-El, uh, and then become the savior of Earth. That didn't happen. Lara got poisoned. They actually used Superman's younger brother, Bru-El, to be the weapon to try to destroy Jor-El, which, they brainwashed Bru-El. Um, I'll try to show a picture here. Here, this is like the young Bru-El. Um, um, Here, this is the scene. This is Bru-El. He sort of, you know, weaponized him. Luthor weaponized kryptonite. He put it inside the kid. And Lara went in and saved Jor-El, and she got attacked. She died. Um, Jor-El decided to step back from the world and let Kal-El take over as Superman. Clark Kent as Superman, and become the hero that he was destined to be, as well. Like I said, he got two younger students which were twins. Bru-El was one of them. Was the boy. Uh, then he had a twin. Bru-El had a twin sister. So Bru-El was like sort of jealous of Clark because he had all the powers. You know he actually started to become a hero. Uh, Valora, which is Bru-El's twin sister, Superman's younger sister. She wasn't really interested in that. She was more of an intellectual type. In the end, she studied politics. Went to college. Graduated in political science. Her first job was as working for a senator, but the senator only wanted her because she was Kryptonian. She really didn't like using her powers, so at the very end, she uses gold kryptonite, takes her powers away, and becomes a normal human, and she actually ran for office for Smallville, I believe. Oh, um, well, see what it is. Wow, sorry it's taking a little bit longer than I expected. Oh yeah, here we go. Uh, yeah, for Congress, for Metropolis, this is Valora. This is here. Oh, here we go. It's a little tiny image, but Valora for Congress for Metropolitan District actually. It says here, and this guy here, this is Jor-El now. Um, and it's a really so so yeah, it's a really great. It's a fun story. I actually like it a lot. Um, like I said, it's got a bit of that Silver Age, Bronze Age feel to it. More of an imaginary story than Elseworld, because it does follow the rules of an imaginary story of what if this happened, but in the end, Destiny does end up playing itself out, and things that should have happened happen. Superman, Kal-El does end up becoming Superman. Uh, so yeah, it's so here we go. So Superman, the last family of Krypton. Art-wise though, it's the art is done by Renato Arlem, but it's sort of um, you know, it's not very consistent art, but I think part of it, especially when it comes to Superman, uh, it's very inconsistent. But I think there's sort of, you know, RLM is actually sort of doing little like references, homages to actors. You know, there are scenes where you have like the young Kal-El, the teen Kal-El, looking more like a Tom Welling from Smallville. Uh, there's like one image here. We did that cover, so I didn't check for that. I think Menago did the covers. The covers are actually done by Felipe Mazafera. That's yeah, the covers, but I want to show um, this one actually kind of caught my attention. Like for example, here, uh, Superman actually, the face is drawn to resemble Christopher Reeve, for example. So you get a little bit of that. So Superman's face is very inconsistent, but because he's sort of like throwing in these little like references, for example, um, here, he looks more like Tom Welling, who from Smallville. So so it does have So he sort of plays a little bit with that, sort of throwing in those little homages to past Superman. Um, but I really like the story, and I think it's worth checking out because it does explore a lot of interesting things. Like I said, the relationship between uh, the elf, you know, the whole family, uh, the impact of having the entire elf family on Earth, and how that affects the world, both technologically and you know socially, especially socially because one of the things that Bait does play a lot with is sort of like the media, you know, the whole celebrity status that you know the outs have. I mean, they didn't come in like privately. Then they made a big impact. Um, you know, I mean, they just showed up, like you know, the media is there, to for the whole world to see, being very open about their intentions and but yeah, but throughout the whole, you know, the whole story, you get a lot of that media impact going on, especially because Bates actually makes the elves, Jor-El and Lara, be, these huge celebrities, big, you know, and you know, I really really enjoy it. But like I said, it's like a six-part story. Like each issue is divided into like two parts each, and told in like three issues, but it's like six parts. So you get the. I'm not gonna waste too much time here, but for example, here you got this issue one is like part two. The first, see, like same issue now, and so it's like sort of like divided into like six parts with two parts going on in each issue. Um, so so that's it for this entry of one guy's opinion. Sorry it took so long. That's the stuff to talk about, especially you know with this series. Um, so I should be having an each other review soon, hopefully on Tuesday, like I said. Um, and I'll be signing up now, as I always do. Until next time, keep smiling.